Hello, everybody. This is a doctor, and with me today is Typical Manga Fan. Today we're going to be doing our normal review of Bleach and One Piece. Right now we're starting with Bleach. This is chapter 609. Title is simply A.
I think the title itself kind of spoils what's going to happen because when you have the title of someone's when the title is like someone's name or their what they're called, then it's kind of like the chapter for which they show their abilities or where they kind of prove themselves. So like if the chapter was called Aizen, then that's where the chapter where Aizen would probably show off and beat everyone up. So now that we see
even last week or week before we had Bellamy, One Piece.
Yeah. But so now we have A, so it's kind of like, okay, obviously he's gonna show us what he can do, and of course no one. I don't think fell for for him being defeated last chapter, because honestly, if you did, you're probably the dumbest person on the planet.
Right, because we've pretty much known all along that Yoak's gonna win this fight somehow. So there's no question about that part of it.
Yep, and so. Now let's start with the first page, and it's kind of a continuation of the last chapter, in which your box being consumed by the darkness.
Yep.
Which is interesting because isn't the Quincy's power like shadow based?
Well, it's weird. It's a weird kind of thing. They were using shadow before, but I think they're also kind of light based, like holiness kind of thing. So it's kind of like maybe a middle mix of the two.
Well, they're hypocrites, so maybe they're just doing something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then of course we get to the next page, and it's just
more
gigantic. It's a gigantic ass just Bleach 609 splash full of. I honestly don't. There's not much detail, to be honest. I'm sure that the drawing the ladders were kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Or the staircase or whatever the hell it's called.
The little pillars on the little bridge there.
Yeah, I'm sure those are kind of harder, but like honestly. So much space being built up. I feel like we put a lot of story into just these missed panels. Maybe they're not much per chapter, but they compile. It builds up.
This little bit of splashdown like this is cool, but it's probably not so much this time around. Anyway, we've got the title page, which is A. Yoak, which is just a big black splodge. Well, I can't think right. Smudge, I guess is the right word, except for 1 foot.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this is the smallest title page I've ever seen ever. Not including last page though.
Yeah,
it's like a small panel, but so your box covered, and for Ichibe's gloating, which means that he lost because that's the way it works.
Yep.
So he's like. Oh yeah, so he's not even known as Yuak anymore. He's just he has no name, and so I'll give you a new name. So he basically gives Yuak a new name, and I gotta admit, this kind of ability is kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
You seeing you a box like just covered in black is kind of weird. So he uses his ability.
He goes from black to white, basically.
Yeah, and I think this is like the black ones to erase names and the white ones to give names.
Yep. Oh, real quick. On that page where he's using the ability, he's like, to put things in perspective, long before what is now known as Bankai exists in this world, the first evolved Zanpakuto was born. Displayed so basically this is his Bankai we're seeing now.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what that means?
Yeah, it means he lost.
Yep. Anyway, like I said, they uses the Bankai to, actually, the manga, I read the manga, I think, panda version of this first. That or this one, it's like back in the day. Nowadays the kids call this Bankai. I kind of like that version of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. So we know that that the other what's his sword guy get name? What else?
Ieyasu, I think. Wetsu, something like that.
Yeah. So he made the first Zanpakuto, obviously, because he was the creator. So this guy he was the first Zanpakuto that like went beyond its simple nature.
Quite possibly there. Maybe before it actually had a name.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that the guy made the swords that was just plain old katanas or whatever, and then eventually this guy's Zanpakuto kind of transformed into the current version, and then he kind of started naming everything. And then so they kind of like work together. It's kind of weird because they sort of fulfill similar purposes. Yeah. And of course, where the hell is Yamamoto putting all that? Like, why is Yamamoto the strongest of them all?
Right. Well, I say
And
the Royal Guard are specifically supposed to be stronger than him, but still, or at least equal to him at worst.
and so based on their abilities, just how old they are, I think they are definitely the original a part of the original Gote 13.
Yeah, like the original Reapers, whatever, Shinigami would at any rate.
Like the mass the mass killer the killers basically.
Yeah.
Mass murderers this way.
Yep. Well, Ichibei certainly got the personality for it. And the eyes.
And probably the reason why he was kind of like the only threat so far. You know. Anyway, so going into the next panel. So yeah, he says that this blade had the ability to give a new name to everything that had been blackened out. So basically, it's like it works in conjunction with the Shikai. The Shikai erases names, and the Bankai gives names.
Yep. And then, like I said, he just puts the name on there, like Kuroari, which just translates to black ant.
So now Yobok is now called Kuroari.
Black ant. We'll just say black ant.
Yeah, black ant. Hey, black ant, how you doing?
And of course, this one with Ichibei is around. Names have power, so the next thing Ichibei does is like he takes his foot and uses like the whole projection thing he's got going to just stomp him down.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I gotta admit, it's just amazing how just his abilities are actually pretty cool, and they're very Buddha-like. Like it's actually an ability that I know in Naruto that was used too with the Buddha guy too.
What about Sengoku, One Piece?
Yes, you're right. You are right. Yeah, he does have the same thing. He was called the Buddha, and he has the same exact abilities. So yeah, I think they talk about how like this is the Buddha thing. It's like Buddha mystical and all that. So it's obviously consistent.
Yep.
So now One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach have done it. Interesting.
Yep. So now Ewok gets stomped on by a very hairy giant leg.
Interesting.
Well, all the lines on there make it look like it's just hairy. Which probably means it's like projection of his actual leg.
Yeah. So he just stomps on him like the Mega, quote unquote Mega ant he is. And of course there's some more gloating that I kind of skipped over. And a gigantic ass panel of him just stomping Yobak.
Yeah.
Hashwell's like Your Majesty, you know that.
Real quick, right here I can forgive like the page without a lot on it, just because giant foot stomping down is cool enough to justify it.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. You know, I don't like Hashwald because all he is just like the man version of Sakura.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
is he the one that can't die? Was he the one that couldn't die?
No, that's D. This is B. Okay. He's the one about balance.
Okay. Oh, is he the one that could? No, wait, that was the same guy. Never mind.
The problem with this guy is that he's literally defined by Yobak. Like everything Yobak does, he just restates so that we can understand or something. Yeah. That's what I don't like about this guy. He's just a fanatic. Just, oh my God, your Majesty is so awesome. Your Majesty is great. No one can defeat His Majesty. It's just like he's so annoying, you know. And that's what he's like. He is to Yobog like Sakura is to Sasuke. You know, just shut up about the guy. You know, define yourself. Don't let someone else define you. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's why he's B. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that reason why Yobog picked Uryu over him. Because as a guy who only admires one person, he kind of he doesn't strike me as charismatic, you know. So he can't be the leader. Although didn't Aizen say the furthest thing from understanding is like admiration is the furthest thing from understanding?
I think you're right about it. I think that sounds like something because I think he said it in reference to Momo.
Yeah, exactly. He did. And so, is this kind of like a similar thing, or
maybe? Okay. Like how that one old man realized that they were expendable in his eyes, but he might not realize it.
Yeah. But Hashwald has shown that he does understand Yobok very well. Like, he understands exactly what's going on. He doesn't talk back, and everything that Yobok, everything like the history of Yobok, his powers and abilities. Hashwald seems to understand all of it. But maybe he doesn't understand Yobok truly, and maybe that's because that's a part that we haven't seen yet, a part that hasn't been revealed yet. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the moment Ichibei says "I bid you farewell," we all know he lost.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, like I said, the moment we routed his Bankai, we knew he lost. Because he's on the guaranteed losing side anyway, and that Bankai is the trump card. So
I think that's what annoys about this chapter. That I knew that we all know what was going to happen, but that he stretched it out for so long, like as if he didn't think we knew. You know what I'm saying? And that's what pissed me off about Kubo the most of anything he does is that he assumes that we're not that smart, he assumes that we don't understand, that we haven't caught up with his tricks yet. You know.
Yep.
So he just stretches all out. You know, like so when Yubok falls, we know he's gonna get back right up somehow.
Yeah, like I said, there's a point where you have to if you have a formula, there's a point where you either have to change it to mix it up or play with it. Like play with the fact that your audience knows what to expect.
Yeah, but don't do it once. You know, you gotta do it. Just because I complain about this, and let's say Kubo somehow heard about this, and then for one time only he changes that, that doesn't work either. You gotta do it in a way that
Consistent.
like just consistent. Exactly. Don't do it in response to criticism. Do it because you want to.
Yeah. Anyway, so the next thing is like I said, Ewok is pretty much just like I did not expect. Oh, I'm gonna hit back instead of forward. I did not expect that I could have seen this far ahead with my eyes in their closed state. Now, here's something I'm wondering about: is the fact that he opened his eyes is what's letting him do it? Because now that there's white, that lets him kind of start taking over again.
Yeah, or yeah, it's kind of weird. Like when he says that. So he's was he blind? Because he does lose his physical abilities after a while, but I don't think so because he could see before.
He just said his eyes were closed. I don't know. I'm taking that more literally than maybe you are here.
Oh, maybe closed because he was blacked. It was blacked out. Remember?
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, one of his eyes was closed the entire time. So and eventually was covered all. So maybe that's what he means.
Yep. And then he blasts himself back up and then blasts his way through Ichibei.
And your surprised face.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Or
Ichibei's beard.
I know.
It's like the beard was innocent, man.
Yeah, but you get your obligatory surprised look like everyone has.
Yeah.
And he gets stabbed through the chest.
And the name in white starts like scraping off of Ewok.
Yep. Oh wait, referring to the response to criticism thing. When I say don't do it because you want to, it doesn't mean that you don't listen to criticism and don't take it like the constructive parts. But don't do something only once just to make a point that criticism isn't like true. When there's criticism, you gotta listen to it, but don't try to change it temporarily just so you can prove it wrong. Just take the criticism and then change it in a long-term way.
Yep.
And that's what I want Kubo to do, but he doesn't do that.
Right. Now here I think is where we're going to get into something I think you were tweeting about before, because like Coswald is talking about how His Majesty can see what's expected or it cannot be bested. Yeah.
But what it comes down to is that the A stands for the Almighty, which kind of makes sense because he's God basically.
Yeah.
And that it also can mean all-knowing.
Yep.
In the sense that he can understand anything from any perspective. So he can look at it from your perspective, from my perspective, and when you do that, you kind of understand basically everything. So you can plan ahead, and it's basically the power of super ultimate foresight, basically. And the thing that I make fun of is that Aizen was always, we always used to make fun of Aizen for basically being able to plan like 20,000 years ahead.
Yeah, literally, probably, I think, isn't it?
And like in every single detail, so we would make fun of that. But this guy here, his actual ability is to see is to plan 20,000 years ahead, basically.
Well, that's all the whole prophecy thing is come to think of it, because like he got it planned out down to the day.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a whole prophecy about like 10,000 years will this happen, then 100 years, then 10 days, or something like that.
Yeah, but was that a prophecy he gave, or was that?
Well, it was prophecy in the first place. I don't know if he gave it or it was just something else was going on there.
Anyway. So it's annoying because So now we thought we were friends with Aizen. Now we have this new guy who is basically whose actual ability is to be like Aizen.
I know, it's like the next one pretty much just says Aizen is a superpower.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what A stands for? A stands for Aizen. That's what it stands for.
Yeah. Of course, in this case, he doesn't do the talking himself. He lets Hoshwald do the talking for him.
Oh my gosh, it's like Kage all over again.
And I was like, so that was the thing I never really liked about Aizen. He just loved to speak. He loved the sound of his own voice. Like an entire chapter was dedicated to explaining how he fooled everyone in Hueco Mundo.
But I'd rather have that than have a guy like a fanatic or a ridiculous loyal follower do that. Because it just makes it really annoying when another guy does it,
Oh.
Oh,
go ahead.
He's the villain. He's the one who's supposed to be all like a dick. Don't have number 2 do everything, because we're just gonna hate number 2 as well. So yeah, and you see that the Quincy thing, the Quincy cross is
at least half uncovered.
Yeah, but I think it's getting uncovered. I think it's like in the process. Because you can see that it's kind of like rescinding.
Yeah. Like I said, now we're kind of past the main point. I'm kind of looking at the comments right now. First comment here. Oh. I thought the first comment was about the fight, but I think it might have been like mislabeled for an earlier chapter because it stated 2 months ago, which is not right. Never mind.
Well, honestly, 2 months ago, I think we all still saw this happening.
Well, like I said, the actual comment that made me think was like, apparently Kubo liked that last fight so much he's decided to repeat it. But I think that was supposed to be like for 603.
See, the thing is that we are getting, yeah. You know, here's the problem. How is this guy defined in any other way that he isn't Aizen? Like, the problem is the foresight thing. That's just a stupid plot device that Kubo uses, so that way the guy just can't be defeated every single time, you know?
Right.
And suddenly, when he faces the main character, the foresight goes away. You know? Like, how the hell did Aizen lose to Ichigo? Like, that was ridiculous.
I mean, like I said, and they're probably going to do something like Ichigo's too random for his insight to work, which I'm willing to bet. Which will be kind of silly, given that Ichigo's not that random.
Ichigo's not Deadpool, okay?
Yeah. Or even, like, Naruto.
Well, here's the problem. Like,
that was Naruto's stick. Like, he could be pretty random and catch people by surprise.
Yeah, like the harem jutsu.
I know, like, that worked on, like, the most powerful thing in the universe, so yeah.
But it's creepy, because that's basically his, like, ancestor. So it's kind of like doing it on your grandma, you know?
Hey, maybe that's why it surprised her so badly.
Okay, well, here's the thing. With you know, the whole Aizen and thing, when Aizen was doing all this planning shit and building everything, the build-up was so huge, because you're just thinking to yourself, how do you beat this guy? The guy who can just plan every single thing and predict everything you would do, and had this whole illusion thing, which for some reason he didn't use against Ichigo. It's not that hard, you know. Just say, you know, what was his release called again?
Or Aizen?
Yeah, it's Kyoka Sugetsu. What's his release command?
Kyoka Sugetsu. I forget what the actual command is. But...
Yeah, well, that's Zapakto's name. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it was like it wasn't shatter, but it's something similar. But yeah, why don't you just do that with Ichigo? It's like 20 seconds. It's like 10 seconds at most. You know, 3 seconds actually.
Yeah, because like the way his power works is that you have to witness it happen.
Yeah. So just have someone open Ichigo's eyes and just have. It's just ridiculous. Like, there's so many ways you could just avoid that whole situation. And the problem is, you're thinking to yourself, how do you beat this guy? And then you're thinking, when it finally does happen, and when we do beat Aizen, there's gonna be some type of creative ability that you know, like that you just didn't expect. Like Gin holding his hilt, like that. As it turns out, that negates his ability. Like, okay, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we could do that. But Ichigo just bulldozes over Aizen. He just
brute force.
Brute force, which is so stupid and ridiculous. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen with Yua Block. Like, you see this guy who has like literally the ability to plan everything ahead, and then when he faces Ichigo, suddenly it's just, oh, I'm going to forget everything and just, you know, fight.
Yeah, well, go ahead. That just reminded me of a quote. I'm just trying to find it right now, but go ahead.
You know what I think could be useful? If Ichigo uses the Yuabok inside him, and then that makes him kind of like immune, then that's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah. It's kind of stupid in a way if you think about it, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like that just made me think of a quote from a webcomic called "The Order of the Stick." Yeah. It's from like one of the like a prequel book they do, but basically like the big villain Zygon is like a lich, but he's like really powerful as sorcerer. So he's like really naturally powerful. And like what he does, like he doesn't really do like a lot of strategizing or planning because he doesn't have to. Like where is it here? Oh yeah, like I learned a lot over the years since I died. A lot more than I learned during my life, and now I can see that planning doesn't matter, strategy doesn't matter. Only 2 things matter: force and as great a concentration as you can manage, and style. And in a pinch, style can slide. In any battle, there's always a level of force against which no tactics can succeed. It's like attacking wizard while for example, all I need to do is keep smacking you with energy drains, and soon you won't be able to cast any of your fancy spells at all. Because yes, I am a sorcerer, And this magic is in my bones, not cribbed off magic for dummies. I can keep casting the same friggin' spell at you until you roll over and die. You can have your finely crafted watch. Give me the sledgehammer to the face any day.
Yeah.
Of course, that not to say that he's not like clever when he needs to be. Like one of his like defining moments is like he's faced off against like an army of paladins. He puts like a symbol of insanity on the super bouncy ball and throws it in the room, and drives every single person in there mad and attacking each other. But go ahead.
All right, I'm reading the comments right now.
Yeah.
And one guy says that it kind of makes sense that he can see everything because A means almighty, which means God, right?
Yeah.
And God is omnipotent.
Well, I think it says omniscient.
Omniscient, yeah, omniscient. I can't remember now. It's kind of the same thing though, when you think about it. And then that basically does allow him to, in a way, see everything. Because theoretically, if the God is real, then he can basically know everything. But then it goes down and says, the only way to beat him is to become so strong that no matter which future he envisions, it will always end in him losing.
Well, that's what Ichigo does.
Which is kind of like, oh my god, that probably will happen. It's just so stupid. Like that's such a really stupid way of being this type of power. That just make it so that no future is possible. You know, make it like Homura. You know, no matter what you do, you're gonna lose. From Madoka Magica, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know, but yeah, for readers' sake.
But also going back one more last thing. A lot of people have been talking about the whole where Kyoraku's going, which is he said room 46 in one of the translations, but did he mean Central 46 or the actual room? Because people think that the room means Aizen's room.
I don't know. I don't know if I got that chapter still on my phone here, so I couldn't pull up on like official translation. But
yeah, because that's what some people like. One reviewer said that room was actually Aizen's room. Like Aizen's number is called 46, which is really confusing because there's also Central 46.
Right.
But we're assuming that regardless, he's probably going to go to Central 46 to talk about Aizen's release, or going to Aizen to talk about his release personally. It doesn't matter. At the end, it's the same thing. Aizen will probably get out. Yeah. So there's a high chance that Aizen's gonna they're gonna make a deal with Aizen, saying, okay, yeah, you can do what you want, or we'll let you go as long as you help us out. So if Aizen comes up, what do you think is gonna happen? Because I actually am interested to see, because I want to see what happens when two Super Foresight characters have face to face. Because honestly, I mean, from a narrative point of view, Yubok's stronger than Aizen, But if you think about it, it could end up being Aizen again as the final villain. Who knows? I mean, who knows what it's gonna do?
I kind of hope not, or because I don't know. That would just be like, what was the point of Yubok? Like that was my whole problem with Kagura, for example.
Oh, the Kaguya?
Kaguya.
Kaguya. There was a reason why they did that. They just wanted to make sure they wanted to build up the Naruto Sasuke fight. That's why.
Yeah. But at the same time, it made the whole thing with Madara useless or pointless in my mind.
Because it was.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, though. The issue I'm having with Aizen, the whole Aizen Yubok thing, is that Aizen can't. Remember, Aizen said if he went face to face with Yamamoto, like with no help, none of that, extra, Wonder Wise bullshit, then he would have lost. Which is actually very interesting. It kind of showed me that Aizen had weaknesses, that he couldn't do certain things. So does that mean he loses to Yubok because by that logic?
What was it? What was that last part you said?
Does that mean that because Aizen said that he couldn't beat Yamamoto head face to face? Does that mean he's weaker than Yubok? Because Yubok basically killed Yamamoto in one strike.
Well, I don't know. Like he said that before he got like super powered by the whole Ogyoku.
Let's be fair. He got weaker when he did that because one, he got stupider. Two, he didn't use his Bonkai for whatever. Like his whole Hokyutu thing, that just gave him hollow powers. It didn't do anything special. It made him weaker because he stopped using his actual good powers, which is perfect illusion. Perfect hypnosis or whatever it's called. Absolute hypnosis, whatever. He stopped using that ability, which made no sense because I was like, okay, there's like 20,000 occasions in which you could use that ability on Ichigo, but you didn't. So it annoyed the shit out of me, I
mean, the only thing that might make sense is maybe there's some very specific condition for Aizen to release it, but that's never been implied.
All he did was, he never released it with Ichigo, but he gathered everyone to. It's ridiculous. Like there is no reason for him not to release it, and not to mention that with Aizen. Like he never uses Bankai, so
Well, I think
we don't
that's
know
a
what
reason.
his.
I think that's a reason to support your theory, actually. That maybe he is going to get out and go up against you Ox here. Of
And
course,
uses Bankai.
which means that right after that he'll get schooled.
Yeah, or at least at least he pushed you a balk to an extent that it actually, or unless he teams up with Ichigo. If Ichigo's there, that means he doesn't. That doesn't necessarily mean he loses.
Maybe.
You know, it can. You know, kind of.
No.
Because there's no way Ichigo will let all this shit happen.
You broke up a little bit
during
right there,
watch.
so I didn't catch everything you just said.
Oh, okay. What I'm saying is, if Ichigo's there, then he has main character plot armor.
Yeah. When it comes to the
here's the
fights,
thing.
I call it main character privilege when it comes to the fights and winning the fights. But yeah,
You know, here's the thing. You know the whole Bankai thing about how when you release your Bankai, it means you lose.
yeah,
Ichigo kind of inverts that because he's basically Bankai all the time, so you can't actually tell when he's gonna lose. Not to mention he's the main character.
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how that works. Like Ichigo is the one exception, not only because he's the main character, but because he's in Bankai all the freaking time. You know.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's the end of what I need to talk about this chapter.
Yeah, so I don't have much to add to it really in this case. Just for other than the fact, like I said, like 2 or 3 initial pages, like just big pages of not a whole lot, which is what we've been kind of mentioning a lot recently. So you're right, the powers are kind of cool, like Ichibe's powers. But at the same time, like we've been saying, the moment Bankai came out, he was doomed.
And that kind of kills. Yeah, it kind of kills a special moment. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no excitement. There's no hype because we know it's not gonna work. You know. So
Yep.
that's about it for me.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like I said, you covered most of the stuff on there. I don't really have much to add to it on that one. There don't have really much to throw in on this chapter.
Okay.
All right, so with that, I guess we'll just cancel that one out and get on to One Piece next. So, like I said, for anyone watching, like I said, if you're just watching for this, coming here for Bleach, and I hope you didn't hate our review too much if you're a Bleach fan. Meantime, you have a good rest of your night, and thanks for watching or listening.
Bye.